Hey, it's JayMac with another edition of Joyful Parents, and I'm going to call this bonus content. I'll share this bonus content with you throughout the course of this video channel. These are going to be stories where I messed up. They're going to be stories from my youth, maybe how I was parented, and what kind of terrible child I was, to help you understand where I have come from and maybe understand my perspective on parenting. Now, I've told you before that we did not have a lot of parental supervision when we were kids. I remember wandering around creation everywhere and doing anything that I wanted and coming home to an empty house. And one of the things that I started to do was shoplifting. Because I could shoplift. I was young. I don't know, 8 or 9. I'm not sure. I don't have a good memory for what age I was at certain periods of my life. But I did start shoplifting. And every time I got caught shoplifting, I would give the manager of the store my home number, and they would call home and no one ever answered. And so they would let me off with a warning because they're not going to call police over this punk kid, you know. And of course I would put on the show and feel bad and say my brother made me do it, you know, and all of those things. And so because I never had any responsibility for it, I got more and more brazen in the process of shoplifting. And at this time, my brothers and I, we loved fishing. We would go fishing anytime, any chance that we could get. And so I remember being in a mall and being in the sporting goods section. And I remember seeing all of these fishing lures, and they came in, you know, pretty good sized boxes. And so I had a genius idea. Now this should tell you about my brain here. I had a genius idea. And that idea was, what if, now hear me out, what if I took the fishing lures out of the packaging and I put them in my pockets? That way I could get so many more fishing lures into my pockets if there was no packaging. So I started this process. And if you know anything about fishing lures, most of them have really sharp hooks at the front and really sharp hooks at the back. And I loaded my pockets up with these fishing lures. Oh, I had to walk home. And it was a decent walk home. And as I started walking, I could feel these hooks start to break through my pants and start to dig into my skin. And I realized at this moment, oh man, did I make a huge error in judgment. But I was stuck. I mean, what am I supposed to do? I can't take my pants off right there on a busy street. And so I started walking as slowly as possible, and I would grab my pants and I would try and pull them away from my skin. But those fishing lures dug in more and more and more. And by the time I got home, my legs were so thrashed that I feel like I couldn't walk for days. And of course, I took the shorts off, and there was, you know, trying to get these fishing lures out of my pants was just an impossibility, so I just threw them away. So I didn't get a single fishing lure out of the process. So that was one time when the shoplifting went really bad. Another time, when I was out with my sister. Now, my older sister is autistic, but she's high functioning. And we were in some grocery store somewhere. And I decided that I wanted to shoplift those big candy bars, those big king size candy bars. And so I put one in each pocket. And my sister put one in each pocket because she was right there with me. And I get, you know, I'm walking towards the exit and I get the tap on my shoulder. And it's the store manager, and he goes, "I need you to both come with me." to the upstairs office. And I'm like, okay, here we go. I've been caught, same story. They're going to call home. Nobody's going to be home. But this time it's going to be me and my sister, so that'll be interesting. Well, on the way to the office, you walk by the front door of the grocery store, and my autistic sister, she just walks out the front door. And I didn't see her go, and the manager didn't see her go. And so I'm walking up the stairs, and I turn around, and my sister is gone. And I'm like, why didn't I could have, how, I was like, you left me here. I'm going to face the consequences on my own. So I went up to the office, and of course I got the lecture. No, my parents were not home. You're not allowed back in the store anymore. If you're caught again, we're going to call the police. All the things that I had been used to hearing. And lo and behold, I just left and continued my shoplifting ways. In fact, I think it was a couple of weeks later, I went with one of my older brothers, and we decided that we were going to shoplift a bunch of these. They're not the fun-size candy bars, but they're a little bigger candy bars. And these were M&Ms, and they came in a box. And so we both snuck into the bathroom with one of these boxes of M&Ms. And we stuffed our pockets like you would not believe. I mean, our pockets were so bulging with this M&M's candy. Put our hands in our pocket and walked right out the front door. Nobody caught us. We thought everything was great. Went over behind the bank, and behind the bank there was like this small wall that blocked off, where the HVAC units are. We went over there and we started celebrating this treasure trove that we had managed to steal from the grocery store. And so I will tell you, growing up, we didn't have a lot of treats in the house. And when we did have treats in the house, they disappeared instantly. So getting a candy bar, getting your hands on some kind of treat was a very unique thing. And I will tell you, my brother and I, we started pounding the candy bars, the M&Ms. I mean, we just started scarfing them down like we hadn't eaten in days. We had chocolate all over our faces and all over our hands. And pretty soon we were just sick. I mean, we couldn't eat anymore. We weren't sure what to do with it. So we started throwing them at each other. We started throwing them all over the place. And next thing I know, and I don't know how this happens, but my brother and I are behind this wall, behind this bank, and we are jumping up and down on these M&Ms, and we're singing a song that was about destroying the evidence. And I have to tell you this, and I hate to glorify theft and shoplifting. It is certainly something that is wrong. And part of the reason why we were engaged in this activity is because we did not have parental supervision at the time. But in a very weird way, this is one of my favorite memories. Not because of the theft, but because it's one of the few good memories I have with my brothers and sisters, and with this particular brother. I haven't seen this particular brother in 30 years now. I don't know anything about him. I don't know where he lives. I don't know what he does. I don't know if he's married. I don't know if he has children. This was one of the failures of my family, is that we did not stay close. We do not have regular contact and regular relationships. And so I look back on these memories, I kind of get choked up about it. And I think about those times when we were, brother and brother. And it's times when we were doing things that we shouldn't do. And I think that that's terribly sad. And I miss, or I lament, that I didn't have that type of childhood. And I know a lot of you are probably saying, JayMac, I had the same thing. But I've always liked to watch shows like Duck Dynasty or Wahlburgers. And my wife is like, why do you watch those shows? And I realized part of it is because it's about families that have strong relationships. They're both about a group of brothers who are still friends and are always in contact with each other, and their families are together, and they're at their cousins', events and weddings and all of those things. And I just feel like that was just such a missed part of my life. And so I'm attracted to shows where it shows kind of, and I realize it's reality TV, and I don't know how much of that is real, but what I see makes me long for that. When I see shows where children have a good relationship with their parents. I never had a good relationship with my father. There were times I had a good relationship with my mother, but that would fluctuate. And at this moment in time, I don't. In fact, at this moment in time, I have no regular contact with any of my siblings or my mom. My father passed away many years ago. And so I find inside I long for those things. I feel like I missed out on those things. So maybe that'll help you understand why it is that dancing around on a bunch of stolen M&Ms, singing, destroying the evidence, is a fond memory for me. Now, please know I'm not condoning shoplifting. And what I am condoning is finding ways to build a strong relationship among your children and your siblings. And that right now, if you ask me right now, JayMac, what is your proudest accomplishment? It's not being in talk radio for 20 years. It's not running for Congress. My proudest accomplishment right now, there's two of them. The first is that my 4 children love each other. They have a great relationship with each other. They text each other. They spend time together. And I know, I get a little choked up here. I know that long after I'm gone, they will have each other for support. And that was something we were able to change. And so, sometimes in parenting, we try and make it all about, do we raise a child that knows how to brush their teeth and comb their hair and clean their room and get good grades? But if in that battle, in that fight, we fail to build family bonds that join us and unify us for our lifetimes, then I wonder what good it really was. I wonder what really good it was. So I'm so thankful. And that's why I wanted to share with you this bonus content. I do have some other shoplifting stories that I may share with you. Other times when I failed to listen to my parents and their warnings, and I paid a price for them for sure. If you like what you've heard today, I've put together an online course. It's called Joyful Parents. It's based upon a book that I wrote years ago. And the idea is how to make parenting fun again, how to make it joyful again. And I promise you, there are things in there that you can implement right away that will make your relationship with your children better, that will make their relationship with each other better. So I hope you'll check it out. That's at jaymcfarland.com. And I also want you to take a minute and to subscribe to this channel and click on that like bell so that you're notified anytime there is a new video. And as always, please share with me your thoughts. I'd love to know how your relationship is with your siblings and what types of battles you've had to fight to get your children to have these kind of relationships. And, you know, if you have any shoplifting stories along the way, we can share those as well. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you next time on Joyful Parents.